Okay, this is what we'll do. We'll fade in. Like we're just talking naturally. So it was just, and then I was out at work, and we were hanging out and stuff. That was a natural fade in.
Okay, the fade-in was impressive, but what the fuck were you saying?
I don't know.
And why are you trying to script our open?
Welcome back.
Welcome back. It's episode 81 of Should We Be Talking About This?
I'm Chance.
I'm Rachael. And what do you got for me, Chance? Do you have anything we need to say? Oh, I have something to say.
Yeah, bring it up.
I
was just about to tell him this. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah? You were?
No, go ahead.
Tell him.
No, I want you to tell him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoever Octopus Cat is.
Uh-huh.
Don't act like you know what I'm talking about. Username Octopus Cat left us a awesome review on Apple Podcasts.
That's awesome.
And she called our voices soothing.
Oh.
Or he. I don't know. That's rude to assume. They called our voices soothing. I thought that was really cool.
That is very cool.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys reviewing the show so very much. It helps us get into the algorithm and more people find our show. So we appreciate it so very much.
Yeah, big deal. You can also check us out on Patreon, and you can sign up for just $1 a month if you want.
Yeah, and get some stickers.
Uh-huh. And you'll get all of our episodes ad-free.
Yeah, for $1 a month.
For $1 a month. That's it.
I hate ads.
Yeah.
You can also join our other tiers and get things like the after show and bloopers from every episode.
Uh-huh.
For $5 a month, and there's a $10 a month tier as well. Okay, enough about that. Let's jump in.
Jump in.
Can I go first?
Please.
So mine isn't what we typically do. I wouldn't say it's a true crime. I wouldn't say it's a paranormal.
Okay.
It's really just a life story about a man.
Oh.
But it was so interesting to me that I just felt compelled
You wanted to share it.
Yes. And I'd say there's some true crime in it. So this is a story of Louis Zamperini. Have you ever heard of him?
No. Did you look up how to say that?
Yes. I feel like Louis and Louis.
Yeah.
It throws me off.
It could go either way.
But it's Louis Zamperini. So my sources are, of course, Wikipedia, biography.com, history.com, and then there is a movie and a book, both titled Unbroken, which is a story of his life. The book is written by Laura Hillenbrand, and the movie was produced by Angelina Jolie.
Huh.
In case you wanted to know that little factoid.
That's interesting.
Is factoid a word?
Yeah.
Cool. So Louis was born in 1917 in New York to Italian immigrant parents. But by the time he was 2 years old, his family upped and moved all the way across country to Long Beach, California, and that's where he grew up. He had an older brother and 2 younger sisters, and all of them were taught to be devout Catholics, except Louis ended up being a little shit.
All right.
He started smoking at 5 years old.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Can I just have you sit with that visual for a second?
With chubby little hands holding a cigarette.
He's got like a rough voice at 5. He also started drinking by 8.
Oh.
Also, the idea of a drunk 8-year-old is funny to me. I mean, it's not funny, but it is funny.
It might be a little funny.
A drinking, smoking 8-year-old? I don't know. He also had a criminal record before he was 10 years old. That was pretty lengthy. I mean, he did things like, of course, theft, like stealing candy and shit, but then it
escalated,
as it always does, into stealing from stores. There was a quote in something I read that if it wasn't nailed down, Louis was going to steal it.
Okay.
He also got caught deflating his teacher's tires.
Take that.
And throwing tomatoes at cops.
Harmless.
So one of the reasons why he was so rebellious, I think, was because he was bullied a shit ton in school. Because he was a child of Italian immigrant parents, he did not even speak fluent English. He spoke all Italian, and then going into the Long Beach school system at 5.
Yeah.
Or however old you are when you start school, it's 5?
Something like that.
Something like that. He knew 0 English.
That sucks for him.
Luckily, after getting beat up over and over again, his dad taught him how to fight.
Okay.
So he's a drinking, smoking, fighting 8-year-old. But then he quickly decided he really liked fighting.
Okay.
And he loved the feeling of beating up people that were mean to him. He was quoted on Wikipedia saying, "I was beating the tar out of every one of them, but I got good at it, and I started relishing the idea of getting even. I was sort of addicted to it."
Damn.
So he's a little shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So he was born in 1917, so
Right.
this would be in the 20s.
Right.
So he's meh.
Meow, see?
Come
He's
here.
lighting cigarettes, and he's a newsboy, I guess.
Throw a newspaper on the corner.
Well, by the time he got into high school, his older brother Pete talked him into doing track. Because, like I said, he has 2 younger sisters, an older brother Pete, and he's the only one that's a little shithead.
Uh-huh.
The rest of them are like devout Catholics. They're all very good in school, athletes, all the good stuff.
Right.
And Louis over here throwing tomatoes at cops and shit. But the problem with Louis going into track was that he was super slow.
Oh. Well, okay.
In fact, that was one of the things he would get bullied for, I guess, back in the day. Not even back in the day. When we were growing up, you'd always race, like, at recess and
Yeah.
after school, and he lost to every one.
Oh, poor guy.
But his brother convinces him that he can get better, so they spend an entire summer training. And by the end of that summer, he could run a mile in 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Damn.
Yeah. That was a record at his high school that stood for 20 years. Well, becoming so fast, all of a sudden he's getting all this recognition. And people are starting to know his name and pay attention to him in school. So his older brother Pete convinces him he's got to quit smoking, he's got to quit drinking, he's got to get his shit together if he's going to do something with this track career, if you will. So by sophomore year, he starts running cross country, and he ended up being undefeated in his last 3 years of high school and even broke all of his brother's records.
Damn.
Which... that pissed me off. Like, I brought you into this shit. And eventually he gained a scholarship to the University of Southern California for track.
SoCal.
So in 1936, at just 19 years old, he decides that he wants to try out for the Olympics.
Okay.
And apparently back then, just about anybody could try out.
It was simple?
Yeah. I mean, you had to pay your way to the tryout place, and then you had to pay to, like, actually try out. But it's not like you had to be, like, sponsored or part of a team or, like, prove anything.
Oh, okay.
So he goes to New York because that's where the tryouts were that year. And when he gets there, it's the hottest day on record. In fact, it was reported that 40 people died that week from heat in New York.
Damn.
And he decided that he was going to run the 5K.
Ew.
Or a 5,000 meter run. He figured it was his best bet, just being like a long distance, like, cross country runner, but also pretty fast. And he also knew, seeing the competition there, that he wasn't going to beat anybody in, like, a dash or a relay type situation.
He's not a sprinter.
No. Well, while he's watching heat after heat go, he's seeing guys that he, like, idolizes passing out on the track from heat. And he's like, oh, fuck, I'm not going to make this. But he does, and he qualifies, and he becomes the youngest person to ever run the 5K in the Olympics.
Wow.
That year, the Olympics was in Berlin, so he goes and he competes, but he didn't medal. He ended up coming in 8th. He said he knew he wasn't going to do well, though, because he described himself as a Depression-era kid. And the second they put him on the boat to go to Germany, and he realized all the food was free, he said he would not stop eating.
Oh, shit.
He said that he was eating... He said sweet buns, but I'm thinking like honey buns.
Okay.
7 of them every morning with eggs and bacon.
Damn, that's a lot.
And by the time he got off the boat, he was 12 pounds heavier. So he screwed himself from the beginning. And like I said, he didn't win, but he did meet Hitler.
Oh.
So it turns out Hitler was super impressed with Louis, not because he placed 8th, obviously, but because his final lap was just 56 seconds. So he kind of passed everybody in that last stretch, and he really, really wanted to meet Louis. Well, Louis had no fucking clue who he was. He didn't follow politics. He didn't know anything about it. So he goes up to get his picture taken with this guy, and he assumed he was like a actor from like a Laurel and Hardy type film with that stupid ass mustache. So he takes a picture with him, and afterwards everybody's like, do you know who the fuck that was? And he's like, oh shit. So he ends up going to like their camp where, like, I guess outside the Olympics, Hitler was like staying or whatever.
Yeah.
And he tries to steal their Nazi flags down and get shot at.
Damn.
Yeah. So those are all his adventures in Berlin at the Olympics.
Uh-huh.
And now he goes back to college to be a regular college student.
After that.
After competing in the Olympics, meeting Hitler, getting shot at, gaining 12 pounds on a boat, now he goes back home. And when he gets there, he sets another record for the mile for 4 minutes and 8.3 seconds. That's another record that stands for 15 years. And in fact, when he finishes that race, he's smiling with a medal and he's bleeding all down his shins, I guess because the competitors were doing something called spiking.
Ooh.
Do you know what that is?
No?
I don't know how they do it, but they get close enough that while you're running the mile, that their cleats will spike your legs.
Oh, I got you. I was thinking, okay. Yeah, when you're running side by side
Right.
and you're kicking your feet back behind you, you
Oh, okay.
drag them across the other runner's legs.
Ugh, that sounds fucking brutal.
I didn't know that was a thing.
There's not a lot of meat on the shins.
Ugh.
But yeah, his shins were fucked after he set that record. I thought that was interesting. So now it's 1940, and the Olympics were canceled that year in lieu of World War II starting.
Right.
And instead of finishing out college, Louis decides that he's going to enlist in the Air Force to go fight the good fight. I mean, he already tried to steal Hitler's flags.
Yeah.
Might as well go finish the job. Now I'm about to talk about his Air Force career, and you're going to understand a lot of it, and to me it's just words.
Okay.
He was commissioned as a second lieutenant and posted in the Pacific Island, where he was a bombardier.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
They work with the bombs on aircraft.
Yeah, so he was on a B-24 Liberator.
Okay.
And when I look that up, it's the plane that they would, like, draw the teeth on. You know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
It's very specific in my brain, but it's one of those.
Yeah.
And it was his job to aim the bombs that got dropped.
Yeah, and they'd have the pinup girls painted on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this particular B-24 Liberator that he flew in was nicknamed the Superman. And it participated in some fairly famous missions. Again, this means nothing to me, but it was in the air raid on Wake Island, which almost ended in disaster because they ran out of fuel and had to, like, coast land.
Damn.
I guess that's, like, a really known thing, but he was on that when it happened.
Uh-huh.
They also participated in the bombing mission on the island of Nauru, which I know I'm saying that incorrectly, but I tried. And there they were attacked by 3 Japanese Zeros. Does that work for you?
Yeah, they're
Japanese
fighter
Zeros?
jets.
Okay. I thought they were like individual people.
Oh, no,
Like
no,
named
the Zero.
Zeros.
No, they're not jets. I think they were
Fighter planes?
propeller planes, I think.
Well, in that mission, 5 of the crew were wounded and 1 died. Louis actually administered aid to all of the crew and saved 2 of their lives. When they landed the plane after that mission, they counted over 500 bullet holes in the Superman.
Yeah, those things got shot the fuck up.
It's shocking to look at.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how it continues to fly after looking like that.
Yeah.
Well, because of that mission, the Superman was out of commission and Louis had to get transferred.
They had to patch the holes.
With some bubble gum.
Spackle.
Yeah. Well, he and whoever was healthy in his crew at that point got transferred to Hawaii. And there, one of their very first missions was to search for a lost aircraft and its crew. At that point, they were assigned to a B-24 Green Hornet, which is a lot like the B-24 Liberator, except for they were known for being, like, really shitty aircraft. Like, very thrown together, very notorious for breaking and coming apart.
Okay.
So on May 27th, while out searching for the lost aircraft, Louis' B-24 suffered a mechanical difficulty and crashed into the ocean 800 miles off the coast of Oahu.
That's a long ways.
On impact, 8 of the 11 men on board died, leaving Louis, the pilot Russell Phillips, and 1 other crew member named Francis McNamara alive. So it's 3 of them.
Okay.
800 miles off the coast.
Fuck.
In the middle of the ocean. And all they have is this tiny inflatable raft, a very small amount of drinking water, and some chocolate bars. They weren't able to grab anything off the plane that could give them any type of communication with anyone. Not even a flare.
Did it sink fast?
Yes.
Yeah.
So at first, Louis figured it would only take a day or 2 for the Air Force to find them because they knew where they were. They had radioed in that there was a mechanical fail. So he figured someone's going to fly by, find them in this yellow raft. It'll be not that big of a deal, but we should still ration what we have because it's going to be a couple of days.
Sure.
So he basically tells the other two, hey, we're going to do 3 sips of water per day and 2 squares of chocolate. Well, Matt